This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Hi, Judy. Hey, I did not get the class.
Okay, I know I didn't send it to you. You have an icon?
I do not.
Okay, this is the Pfaff Workbook class.
And
Thanks. I mean, you're welcome to stay. It's on the mega hoop, and we did that on the Viking.
Okay.
So it's up to you.
I've got another class this afternoon, so I'm gonna go. But thanks.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Liz. She left.
Hi, Miss Diane.
Morning,
You're
Miss-
actually getting to come to class?
Yes, but I don't have a machine, so I'm just gonna listen.
You don't have a machine. Where's your machine? You
Well, I
sell-
sold my Icon 1,
Yeah.
and my Icon 2's not here yet.
No, but soon.
Soon, yes, I'm hoping this week. There was a little bit of an issue. So the young lady, really sweet young lady that bought my machine, wanted to use a credit card. Well, I don't take credit cards, clearly.
Yes.
So I said, well, maybe PayPal would work. So that's how we did it. But PayPal's kind of misleading. I don't know if you've ever used it, because when the screen pops open, it says product or service. Well, you think, well, yeah, I'm buying a sewing machine. So her husband clicked on that. They weren't going to give me my money till March 26th because I had no history as a seller. Well, I'm not a seller.
Well, in that case, you are.
But anyway, so they did charge me the 3% fee, which, I mean, Melanie didn't pay. I had to pay.
Right.
They really try to get that back for me, but the money's pending in my account now, so I'm happy. It's all fine.
Well, good.
It
And
took almost
Melanie's
2
happy.
weeks to get it. What's that?
And Melanie is happy.
Oh, she's very happy. Yeah. I know there was no way she was buying the new one, and Liz Westberg sent her my direction. So all worked out great.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that was nice that you were willing to give it up early.
Well, and I gave it up. Well, it's been almost 2 weeks. So, but I'm just glad I have the money because I need to turn it over to Carol.
That does help.
Yes, it does help for sure. So I mean, it's clearly not the end of the world if I get it this week or next week or whenever, but
So what color did you order?
I did the white one. I decided I just couldn't make up my mind, and I love sparkle. And somebody said the front of it kind of sparkles. So I'm like, well, sounds like up my alley. My only worry is, I mean, the buttons aren't super distinct, but I'm sure they made them so you could see them on the front. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, because it's white?
Mm-hmm. But I'm
Well,
sure it'll.
Maybe the button themselves has a black background. I can't talk. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from looking at the pictures. So,
Well,
is that the Grand Dream Hoop on your desk or on your table?
yes.
Do I have that one?
Well,
What does it say?
It's coming with your new machine.
Right. Well, that's exciting. What numbers are on it?
360 by 350. Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
How are things in Florida?
Well, it's warm. It's been rainy, but it's probably close to, well, anyway, it's getting really hot.
Okay.
We had tornadoes last week, though.
Oh, no. Good morning, Mary. Today is Carol's day off, and Karen started us, but she had to leave, so we are in record mode at the moment. So just so you know.
We'll behave.
Okay, now I can hear.
Hey, Judy,
Yes.
you want to see what I've been doing? We took that road trip to Arizona, you know?
Oh,
Oh,
my. Oh, gosh.
by hand?
By hand. I've done a bunch of them.
Are you
So-
getting any sleep?
Well, I am, you know what, though, I think it's bothering my neck from looking down. So I'm going to have to measure my time spent doing it. But I find if I do it while I'm watching TV, I don't want to eat.
Well, that's not all bad.
Nope.
Except-
And I got this, when I decided to do it, my husband was like, I don't really want the overhead lights on in there. So I got this cool neck light thing.
Yeah,
You put it around your neck and you can face it up and turn it on. And it really makes it I can actually even thread my needles.
Huh.
It's fabulous. And I didn't have anything that I was going to use my Place for Everything bag that we made in class. And oh boy, it's got plenty of stuff in it now.
well, that's good.
Yeah. This stuff's all addictive, you know?
It's a disease.
It is. Addictive.
But it's not a bad disease, and we don't want to
No.
cure it.
No, it's not. And it's, you know, the best part is all the people are so wonderful.
Mhm.
I just love everybody.
Yes. Yep.
So Judy and Mary know Jennifer at the store. Jennifer Quayle. Sandy, you don't know her, but she raises goats.
I
And
would love to have a goat.
oh my
If
gosh,
I lived where I could, I would. Goat and chickens.
goats and chickens. Well, she has a bunch of baby goats. So we took the grandkids Sunday to see them. Oh my gosh, they had such a good time.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Really
I
fun.
Gomer, how are you?
Hi, Liz.
Hi,
Hi, can you hear us?
yes.
Okay. What are you doing on May the 6th? It's a Friday. It's the day after your birthday.
I can't hear whatever you're saying.
Well, put your ears on.
I have an unhappy kitty. What is she doing? Okay, let me see. Can I hear now?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I was asking you what kind of plans you have for May the 6th. It's a Friday. It's the day after your birthday.
I
And-
don't, the only thing I know is my daughter and her husband are coming around my birthday. And I don't know what day that is.
Okay. You don't know when they're coming, right?
They're coming. She just said they're coming for my birthday. So that's all I know.
All right. Well, May the 6th, a Friday,
Uh-huh.
is our scheduled techniques class.
Okay.
And we are planning to have it in the store so we can celebrate your birthday.
Oh, and then you'll have a huge cake for 90, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did 90 kisses and hugs too.
I think that the way she talked, my daughter talked, she said she'll be here to celebrate my birthday. So she must be going to be here before the 4th. I mean, they don't have jobs or anything, so they do whatever. So, okay, on the 6th.
On the 6th, that's a Friday. Put that on your calendar.
And if she's here, she can just come down there, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, I will do that.
All right.
Because I might
That's
not
neat.
be here for 91, right?
Well,
oh,
I plan on you being here for 91 and a few more.
All right, okay.
oh,
All
wow.
right.
Neat
Great.
idea.
Okay, do we have to wear masks?
No, not at this point. It may change by then, but right at this
It might
point.
be then, but we'd have to, okay.
Okay, and you don't have to bring a machine or anything. You just have to bring you.
Yeah, well, no, I can't carry that machine anymore. No way.
No. So,
That cat, my cat is really unhappy. She's getting into everything because the dog is getting groomed.
so she's by herself and she doesn't know what to do.
I know it, and she's just getting into everything. Oh, well.
Okay.
She took all the pins out of my pin cushion one day.
Wow.
Did she swallow any? I think
No,
sometimes.
she just drops them on the floor.
Oh, smart cat.
Good. At least she doesn't try to eat them.
Okay,
All right. Well, Lee Bush and Lori Gray both told me that they had conflicts, so they wouldn't be here.
okay.
So it's just us chickens, I suspect.
Us
Okay.
goats.
I've had that embroidery hoop since it first came out.
You did, and have you used it?
Yep, I made a little linen suit, put on the back of the jacket. I put a big design, and then I broke up the design and put it on the blouse and the skirt.
Wow.
It turned out, that's a long time ago.
Do you still have it?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. I got so much junk.
Oh, Mary, have you used yours? I'm pretty sure you have.
I have. The only thing I don't remember. Oh, I know. There was a big Christmas design,
Uh-huh.
and my brother has a huge, like 8-foot round table. So I made those Christmas designs and made the round tables thing for him. That was years ago. And then recently, when we did our lions,
Uh-huh.
I
Oh,
wanted to put a frame around it. Well, the lion is so big, you had to use the grand hoop to create the frame.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's what I used it for recently. If
Okay.
I used it for other stuff, I can't, I don't remember, but I'm sure I did. But
Okay.
Did you get it when they came out with when it first came out with the creative, whatever that was?
The vision.
Yeah,
Was it?
creative
Yeah.
vision.
Sandy, have you used yours?
Yeah, in fact, what Elizabeth was just saying, I think I got it because I had a creative vision
Yeah.
years
And
ago, and I did some quilting in it actually.
it
Oh,
came
Some
with
of it,
they
and some
gave
of
that.
it lined up. I
Didn't they
remember,
give-
maybe it did. Oh, you know what? I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't pay. We paid for it, but they changed.
I got mine when I bought I think it's a Pfaff one, when I bought one of my machines, but I haven't ever used it.
Well, now's
is-
your opportunity.
Yep,
you'll have another one hopefully next week, huh?
I know.
There
I
you
told
go.
him I don't have my machine, so I'm just watching today.
Okay. Lee, this is the Pfaff Workbook. Lee Ward? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Lee can't hear me. She's had internet problems. Okay. Because she's a Viking lady. All right, morning, Peggy. I don't know if you can talk.
Good morning. I can finally.
Good. One of these days, we're gonna have to be able to see you. That would be good.
Well, you know how that goes right now, so we'll see.
Yeah, okay, so. Lee Ward, can you hear me? Can you talk to me? No,
It's frozen again.
I'm sorry, Mary.
You can hear us?
She looks like her screen's frozen again.
Yeah, it comes and goes. So I'm sorry about that. Anyhow, so today we're talking about the Pfaff Grand Hoop. And we had a session on the Viking Majestic Hoop last month. And it's exactly the same hoop. It just says Viking or Pfaff on it. They're the same size. They look the same. They function the same. And so I thought I'd start off by just talking, instead of going through the handout, all the information I'm going to give you is contained in the handout, but not necessarily in the order in which they present it. So I thought it would be best to just talk about the hoop itself first. It looks a little bit unusual from a regular hoop. Normally a hoop just has one of these attachment brackets on it, where this one has an attachment bracket on both sides. It also has the adjustment clamps and quick release levers on both ends because it is so big, and the machine treats it as if it were two hoops. So when you're embroidering on it, the machine will embroider this part of it first, and once it's finished with that part, it will stop and tell you to turn it, and then you'll turn it around and your embroidery will be over here and it will be upside down, and the machine will now embroider this part of your hoop, and it will turn it so that it matches up with the upside down one. The machine is smart enough to do that for us. When you turn it, you need to be sure that your design is going to line up perfectly. So there is, when you look at a design on your machine, and we'll do that in a minute, there is a section down the middle of the design that is 30 millimeters wide, that part of the design from either side can overlap into that section. The restriction is that if you're working on a design, the design part over here, it can go into that crossover section, but it cannot extend past it because that belongs to this part of the design. So you can have things from this side going into that crossover section and things from that side going into the crossover section, but you cannot have pieces of your design that completely lapse over and into the other side. And there are designs, however, that there are parts of it that it was necessary to actually split like a flower. So part of it is in this half and part of it is in this half. And you have to be very careful when you turn your hoop. You need to use precise positioning to make sure that those halves of whatever the object is match up. So precise positioning is a tool that you're going to be using with your Grand Dream hoop, and it's essential to use it. Like many of our other hoops, this hoop has these little, I'm calling them ears. Actually, they're little guide marks on it, and those are used to put your hoop clips, these little silver things that you got a bag full of with your hoop, and they're usually, when you open your embroidery unit for the first time, the bag of hoop clips is normally in there. And the purpose of those is to clamp your two pieces of your hoop together to give it a tighter grip on your fabric. And they have a little foot on one side, and the other side is straight. So the side with the foot on it is going to go into in between those little ears on your hoop and help hold your the sides of the hoop and clamp your fabric tight. Okay, now you've got two latches on your hoop, and when you're hooping your fabric, it's important that when you tighten your latches and you close them and then tighten them, it's important that you do both of them at the same time so you get equal pressure on your hoop as you tighten the fabric in it. So it's if you have to open them, you should be opening them at the same time, and when you close the latches, you should close those and then tighten the little knobs at the same time so that you keep the pressure equal on the hoop. And when you do take your hoop apart to hoop your fabric, you'll notice that it's pretty wobbly, so you want to be careful with it because of the size. It's as sturdy as it can be given the design of it. So just be really careful with it when you go to hoop it. When you take it apart, handle it carefully. Make sure that you adjust the tightness of it at the same time so that you keep the pressure on it equal. Any questions about that so far? Okay. I have one here that I have hooped, and I have put the hoop clips on it. You can see all the way around, and you can see that my stabilizer here is I've torn it because with the hoop clips, it's pulling it down, it and the fabric down tight over my attachment bracket. So I've released the stabilizer so that the bracket can fit onto the machine easily and not get involved, or I mean, I could cut this off, although I really don't want to cut it and minimize the grip that the hoop has on it. So this is what it looks like when it's hooped, and the hoop has some, on the back of it has two little, on each side has like a little extra plastic bar, which helps it slide on the machine. It's not just flat plastic like the rest of our hoops. It's got that little extra bar on the bottom of it, so it rides smoother on the machine bed. Okay, any questions so far? Oh, when you go to take the hoop clips off, and I can't get there, I have this little tool, and this is actually a staple remover. You can use a flat screwdriver, or at one point Mary showed us, she and Liz both had a tool that the machine companies used to sell to take them out, but they no longer do for some reason. But when you take them out, you want to be sure that you lift them straight up, because you can easily break those little ears, and then your hoop clips aren't going to stay where they were intended to be. So just be really careful when you take them out. take them off of your hoop.
Oh, I see it, Mary. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Mary's
Nope.
showing you your tool that looks a lot like my staple remover.
It looks just like your staple remover.
It doesn't say boss stitch on it or Stanley.
No, mine says Pfaff.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Judith, do you remember, oh, phooey, Kay, well, what was her name? She had the TV show. Golly, why can't I think of her name? For Viking. Anyway, she turned the hoop upside down and they come, that's what I've been doing. When you turn it and then you unhoop it, they all come off.
okay.
What was her name? You know who I mean. Sue Hausman.
Where
Yeah.
did Kay come from?
I don't know. Kay Wood, maybe. I don't know.
She was a quilter.
Yeah. So anyway, that works too. And then you don't lose them because they don't flip all over the place. And I don't think it twists them. I'm not sure. But anyway, just a thought.
Well, that's good. All the information we can share, that's perfect. All right. Thank you, Sandy. Okay. So let me see if I can maneuver this camera to where it's going to do what I want it to. Whoopsie, that's upside down. Don't want my machine upside down. Okay. Oh. These are not made to be moved around, so it gets a little cranky. All right. So, your handout again is showing you pictures of the icon one. So that's great, except I will try to mention the differences between it and the icon 2 as we go along. So you don't get confused by looking at my screen. Yes, Mary?
Yeah, your whole screen isn't there. If you can move it up a little, there. That's great, thanks.
Okay, yeah, be sure and tell me when because I'm trying to keep my eye on what I'm doing, and the computer's over to my left that has, shows me what I'm showing you. So yes, please tell me. All right, so I'm going to go back into the handout on the lesson part on page 3, and we'll talk about what we're doing on the machine. So we're going to go into, well, I'm in embroidery edit, but what we want to get into is our help center. And for the icon ones, you're going to, in embroidery edit, you're going to use your icon up on the upper left corner, and I'm going to use the little book on mine, and it's going to bring up, we want to get into embroidery techniques. You want to go through in the help center, you want to go into techniques and tutorials. It'll give you a list of all the techniques, and we want to do the specialty hoop embroidery because our Grand Dream hoop is a specialty hoop. And we have 4 choices here, and the first one being our Grand Dream hoop. So if we touch that, then it brings us into the tutorial for the Grand Dream hoop, and we have the instruction part of it, which we can go through. And we also have the content portion of it, which shows us the designs that are built into the machine that are for this particular hoop. The ones in both icons, there are 8 in your machine, and there are 10 in the icon 2. Number 2 and 3 are the extra ones on the icon 2. The rest of them are exactly the same designs. And instead of having you load one of them, the handout has you build a design, but I'd like to load one of these first to show you what I was talking about the crossover area. So I'm going to select number 1 and then close that. And now, let's see if I can get closer so you can see. All right, see that gray kind of gray part that's in the middle there? That's that crossover area that I was talking about. And if you look at the designs, you can see that anything on the left side that goes into that gray area does not go beyond it into the right side beyond that gray area. So this is a good design where none of the butterflies are split. They're all, it'll be able to stitch them out completely, whether you're stitching this side of the design or whether you're stitching that side of the design. And up here at the top, I want to magnify this and then scooch it down so you can see the first thing. The first thing that the machine is going to stitch out are these alignment stitches, these little L-shaped stitches up here at the top. There's one for the right side and there's one for the left side. And right now there's a little bit of a separation in them, but when you go to stitch it out, it's not a problem because the machine is just going to stitch out the right side of the design. It's going to, whatever is in my selection box is what's going to be stitched out first. All right. And when it finishes that, then it's going to give me a message to turn the hoop around. And when I turn that hoop around, and I'll demonstrate this in a minute, then I will it will go to the alignment stitch for the other side of the design, and then I can go to precise positioning and line those two L-shaped stitches up so that my design is in the proper place. On this one, it wouldn't be quite as critical as on the ones that something is actually split. I can also, if I'm concerned about how close, say these top 2 butterflies are going to be, I can also use, while I'm in precise positioning, I can also check those out and see how close they're going to be to each other. And if something was split, I would want to do that to make sure that my 2 halves of whatever was split lined up correctly. Any questions on that one?
I just want to comment, when I bring it into mine, like the butterflies, they come in not centered in the hoop. And
Okay.
only one is highlighted.
Right.
So
Okay.
you have to go into layers and select both of them to center it without a lot of fussing. Is that how yours came in?
All right. Let me delete this. And I have to have something selected in order to delete it. Come on, be good. Okay. All right. All right. So I go into here. Well, I can go back, go away. If I want to go back into my content, then if I touch this open book, okay, I touched the closed book to get into the tutorials. But if I touch the open book, then it brings back up the last screen I had for that, from that tutorial. So I get my content back. If I tap the design to select it, if I touch and hold it, then what Mary's talking about is that the design comes in off-centered. It comes in wherever on the hoop I was touching. But if I don't hold it, if I just, if I tap it to select it and then I tap it to load it, it comes in centered.
Oh, great. Okay. That's
Okay,
what I was
on the
wondering.
Epic, you do have to hold it. But on the Pfaff, you tap and you tap. You don't tap and then hold. That's what keeps it, you know, in the hoop where you want it. Otherwise, if let me select a different one. Come on. Whatever.
Good to know. Thank you.
It worked, thank you, because I did the same as Mary. Yeah,
Yeah,
tap
and
and tap.
it's
Okay.
it's annoying, right?
Well, I never knew that, but yeah, it could be.
I mean, that's the same with all the designs.
It
Okay,
is? Oh,
yeah,
you're
if you've
right.
got a different size hoop, then we can do that.
You're right. Okay.
Okay, if we have, say, a 200 by 200 hoop, right? And we pick a design that we want to put in there. I got to pick something smaller. I pick this one. Well, it doesn't fit, but it came in centered because I lightly touched it. If I were to hold it, okay, let me pick something that's out, not in the center of the hoop. And check that. If I hold it, then it comes in, it was down here. So the center of the design is now down there.
I wondered why I always had to center them. Thank you. I'm going to tap from now on.
Yes, tap.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
great.
I kind of discovered that by mistake one day, and I was real happy to discover that. Okay. So if we go back to the directions that we have on our handout, on page 4, number 6, they're having us load a design from flowers and leaves, and that, well, oh, 95, my goodness. Okay, 95, which is a large design, and they're asking us to put it over on the left side of our hoop. Okay, and then also reminding us that none of the design should go to the right past that gray area. If this were how it was in your hoop, that would not work. It would try to split those designs, or it would just not go into embroidery because it was something it couldn't handle. So on page 5, then they are asking us to go back and select design number 96 now, and to use that design to fill up the right-hand side of our hoop, and then be able to embroider it out. Okay. And
Mary mentioned a while ago that if you went into the layers and did select all, then it would select everything that was in the hoop and you could move it as one. All right. And you can go ahead and play with that one. I played with it yesterday and created a design with those. And that's what my design looked like. I did just using that number 96 design, I put designs into the right hand side of the hoop, and in some cases they touch the designs from the left side of the hoop. And I did also rotate and I resized a couple of the copies of the design so that I could fit more of them in there than they had done in the example. And you'll notice that when you are creating your design yourself, you do not get alignment stitches. They have to be built into the design, and the software will put them in. You can put them in the software, but the machine does not put them in for you when you are building your own design in the big hoop. Okay, so you will need to find, some other point in your design to use to align it. Like, come here. Like this point right here is from the second half, or from the first half of the right hand half of the design. And I kind of tucked the end of the stem underneath the flower that's going to stitch out on the left hand side. So I would, when I turn my hoop, I would use precise positioning to make sure that where this little flower is, that it overlaps where the end of that stem is. Because I don't have the alignment stitches. I'm basically picking my own alignment points for the to make sure that my design stitches out like I want it to. The other thing, if you're doing multiple designs like this, you're going to have several entries which you can select and group. Or the thing to me that is important is that if they overlap as in the hoop, that you put them in the order that you want them to stitch. For instance, whoopsie, not too much. This point right here where I overlap the stems, if I have a preference of which stem is going to be on top, then I need to go into my layers panel and make sure that the one I want underneath stitches out before the one that I want on the top. And you can rearrange stuff in the layers panel. On the icon 1, you have a set of 3 lines over on the left hand side. On the icon 2, they're on the right hand side, but if you just touch and hold on those, you can move that element of your design up or down like you want it to be. Questions on that? Once I have them in the sequence that I want them in, before I stitched it out, I would probably go in and select multiple, and then I would group them so I didn't accidentally
jockey them out of position or something. All right. Any questions on that part?
This is good. This is intense. My.
Well, I'm trying to tell you,
Wow, yeah, this is something. Yeah.
it's a you know, it's a nice option that we have to be able to do these larger designs, right?
Wow.
And on page 6 is let's see, I guess okay. On page 6, it talks about basting around the design, which I do a lot of based around designs in the smaller hoops, but I've never done it in the big hoop. And when you're doing it in the smaller hoop, you just touch it, the proper buttons or selection on your machine, and it will baste around the design or baste around the hoop, whatever you tell it to, before it starts to embroider your design. Well, the same thing can happen in your large hoop. However, when you say baste around the design or the hoop, it's going to baste around the right-hand side first, and then it's going to ask you to turn your hoop so it will baste around the other side, the left side, and you'll have the whole hoop basted rather than just half of the design. And it won't baste up the middle of the hoop. It'll make a, you know, like a backwards, it'll baste around half of it, and then you turn it and it will baste around the other half.
Does your design have to be grouped as a whole, you know, one design to get it not to base down the middle?
Well, it's not going to baste down the middle according to this. Let's try.
Okay.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
my little hoop.
I just spaced around the design, so I didn't know.
Okay, let's say based around the design. Okay. Wakey, wakey. And we're going to say, okay. And we're going to put this dude in. When you're using this hoop, you got to make sure that you got room behind it. And mine is close. I set the hoop on the machine, and then I slide it forward. And when I get to right here, then I'm touching my windowsill behind me. But I'm not going to embroider up to where I'm actually into the hoop here. So I'm good. And this is what I'm talking about. If I can get, whoops, the camera. Don't get lazy. Stop. Look at that. It's being ornery. When I put it into the attachment bracket, I want to make sure that I don't catch any of my stabilizer or fabric in that bracket. That's why I've pulled my stabilizer back so it doesn't interfere with that. All right. So now let's say attach the hoop. Okay. And now I say based around the design, and looking at my screen, I see that my basting stitch is showing just on the perimeter, not down the middle. Okay. So if I say okay here, make sure the correct side of the hoop is attached to match your design as displayed on the screen, okay? It's just telling us to make sure we're doing what we want to do, okay? And if I say baste, Okay, so now it's gone as far as it can. And it says remove and rotate the hoop. Attach the other side of the hoop to the embroidery unit. Well, did I run out of bobbin thread? Yes. Well, it didn't cut my thread. So I'm going to, no, I didn't run out. I just, what are you doing, little machine? Okay, so now I've got my basting on this side of the hoop. I'm going to turn my hoop around and put it back on the machine on the other side. And the bracket is way up there. So now it's at the place where it started when it was doing the other half. All right. So I say okay to the message, and it moves back up to the top and does its little base on the other half without going up the middle. And I remember that, I think that it used to go up the middle. Is that right, Mary?
I don't remember, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did, but anyway, that's good to see it and to make sure that it didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. What are you doing, machine? Okay. Now it tells me again, because that was the second side of the hoop, it's telling me to take the hoop off, put it back on, so that I have it in the right place to stitch the side of the design that I want it to stitch first.
Oh.
Okay.
Don't you have to select turnable hoop option side sort, or else you could be, depending on how you added designs, you could be going back and forth, driving yourself crazy.
Yes, that's, you have to go into the layers panel and put them in the right sequence. If you've added stuff on one side and the other side going back and forth is what you're talking about, Mary?
Right, but at least on the welcome to the stitch out, there's a check mark you can make to side sort.
Oh, okay. You can tell how often I use the machine. So when I go to stitch out, based around.
Go up, it's right under selected hoop.
Selected, oh, turnable hoop options, right. This is what Mary's talking about. It says turnable hoop options side sort. So it would automatically
I believe it would, yeah.
would group everything together. Well, let's do our question mark and say side sort. Whoops, come here. Oh, I lost my question mark. That's what the problem is. Come on. Select to embroider all designs on one side of the turnable hoop before turning it to the other side. Read about it. Are you going to let me read? No, because I didn't touch the right place. Come on. Maybe we can't read it. Do you have that on the icon one? Ladies who have the icon one, like Sandy?
There is a way to, you do check that, I know. But I'm not sure. Yeah, you do check it. Is that what you're asking me?
That you have that option.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it says you hit the turnable hoop thing. I think it's down at the bottom left of the original icon screen.
Oh, okay.
Let me look and see. Well, I remember seeing it someplace. Let's see. I know it's on there because I did do something with it. Size. Well, now this is really, and it was on the very bottom right, as I recall. And it has to be under embroidery settings, aren't I correct?
Well, it's when you say go to stitch out and you get your option screen. It's your welcome
really?
to
I thought
your
I
welcome
said,
to embroidery stitch out screen.
I thought I did it at the beginning. I think, yeah, okay, let's see.
It's on this screen.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I don't want to, I've got something on my screen and wait a minute.
Okay, well, don't mess up anything.
That's okay. I was playing as you're doing.
Diane doesn't have her machine and Mary has the icon too. Peggy, are you there?
Maybe she's not there, but Judy, I just tried it. I moved, the one that we built with the 3 little designs on the right side.
Uh-huh.
So I moved one of those above in the layers above the right side or the left side. And I went to stitch out and just looking at the color blocks, when I hit the color blocks,
Uh-huh.
it didn't matter. It stitched all one side regardless. It didn't matter whether I had that marked or not.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so.
Okay, well, that's something we can experiment with.
Because it looks like it just has all the colors. Well, let me look and see. Maybe I'm lying to you.
You wouldn't do that.
Well, never mind. We don't have to mess with it. I'll mess with it later with smaller designs and actually stitch it,
Okay. All right. Let's see.
So Judy, can I say something?
Sure.
So I was thinking the other night, I think I was laying in bed, that this hoop and this technique would be a fabulous way to use some large designs and do like 24-inch block, 24-inch pieces of fabric batting and backing and make yourself a whole cloth quilt, especially for people who don't want a quilt, but they think a blanket would be cool.
Yeah.
Is you could just sash all those different pieces together and make a beautiful whole cloth quilt.
Right. The thing that you have to remember when you have your quilt sandwich is what's going to happen on the back of it with your if you're using your thread cut options.
Oh, good point.
Right? You have to turn that whole thing off. And then you have every time it would do depends on your designs, but if you're doing just a continuous design, that's much easier to deal with because you've got one start and one stop place.
Right.
But you want to do like if you were free motion quilting.
Right.
When you start, you want to pull your bobbin thread to the top so you have a tail to tie and bury. And when
Right.
you stop or have a jump stitch, you want to do the same thing. You want to have the ends of those threads where you can get a hold of them so you can tie them and bury your knots. Otherwise, the back of your quilt is gonna be messy.
That makes sense.
Okay,
I
that's
see.
just something to keep in mind when you think, oh, this will be so cool. But then you turn it over and you go, oh no.
Right. Well, I didn't think it through clearly.
Well, I guess maybe this is the voice of experience.
Exactly, which is why you're there and I'm here.
So anyhow, all right. While we have this here, I'm going to load that butterfly design again. And I'm going to pretend to stitch it out. And I want to show you matching up the alignment marks is what I'm after, okay? So I have stitched out the alignment mark from the first half, all right? And right now, where it positions itself, it acts like you have a different size hoop in it at that, and then this is the edge of the hoop. So you know that if you're stitching out a design and you come to a color change, that the machine will stay away from the edge of your hoop so that the needle threader has room to come down and thread your needle. And then as you start stitching, it will move over to where it should be when you are actually stitching. So if I'm on stitch 1, if I go to stitch 2, it moves over just as if this were the actual edge of the hoop. Does that make sense? So when you go to stitch out an alignment mark for the first half of your hoop and it's sitting to the right of your center of your hoop, don't panic. It'll move over after when you start stitching, all right? Just like this one has moved over so that the needle, let me see if I can get you close. Nope. Okay, so that when I drop the needle, it will actually be right on my alignment mark. Come on, camera. All right. Whereas when it first came up, it left room for the needle threader to work as if it was a smaller hoop. Okay. So it'll stitch those alignment marks first, and then I'm going to pretend that we're finished. Whoops, I left out a digit. Okay, this is just about where it's going to finish. And if I just manually go stitch by stitch, I won't get the messages. So I'm going to just stitch just a few stitches here to finish out this side of the design. Okay, so now it has finished that, and it's going to give me my message to turn the hoop and change the thread. So I'm turning my hoop. I don't want to change my thread. And when you put your hoop back on, you have to be careful of where your clips are because you have to go in between them to get the hoop on. Okay, so now I say okay on here, and I start all right, now you can see on the screen that the butterflies are now upside down. And the cursor is down here at the bottom where my alignment stitches in my hoop are. Okay. So when I go to precise positioning, it's going to move the hoop to where it thinks the alignment stitches are. But when I drop my needle, the hoop needs to move away from me and it needs to move to the right. Okay, so this is not unusual. This probably happens anytime you turn the hoop around. So using precise positioning, I want to, that was not good. Hang on a sec, I'm sorry. Okay. No, I don't want you there. I need to move my cursor down. Okay. And it's, darn you. Okay, let's just go. All right, so this is where my needle is now, and I've messed with the cursor on the screen, but now I can use my precise positioning so that my needle is going to fall right in the corner of that alignment mark. And then when I stitch out that alignment mark, I know that my second half of my design is positioned where I want it to be. And if I wanted to check on some other position, one of the butterfly wings or something, say, I could then just move my cursor up to that position. Except my fingers don't work. Come on. Come on. There we go. I could move my cursor into position and then move the needle to there and check to make sure that I was happy with where that was going to be before I actually stitched out my second half. And when I'm happy, I just touch OK. It goes back to the alignment mark and we'll stitch the alignment mark out for me. And then stitch the second half of the design. Does that help anyway? Okay. All right, I'm going to take this off and
I'm just gonna say I messed around some more and I must have had a brain going to sleep. But yeah, it sorted it and didn't sort it when it wasn't checked. So
okay,
it worked.
it does work.
Yeah. And Sandy, I found your turnable hoop options. It's
Okay, okay.
on the stitch out settings at the very bottom on the left.
Okay, well, now I've got the designs in the hoop, like what the picture, I was doing that while Judith was talking. I shouldn't have been doing that.
That's okay.
So what I want, so I think it looks, I like it, but when I want to even do stitch embroidery out, it comes up, please move the design. A color block has been placed on both sides of the turnable hoop. And I remember one time I had to do precise positioning, and anyway, something was goofed up. So does that make sense? I don't know. And everything is inside the hoop. At least I have a green thing around it.
You're crossing,
But
that's what I'm thinking is the wrong.
You're on both sides of the gray.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got something like, say, if I move those butterflies over, I would get that kind of a message.
Okay, I'm sure that's it. Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I get that message when I try to go to stitch out,
Yes.
since I've moved that left half over where it overlaps the right-hand side.
So I need to go to the left. Okay.
Well, whichever one is encroaching on
Right.
on the other side's territory.
Okay. Yeah. This really is a great exercise. It really is.
Just
Okay.
touch each one of your designs to get the box around it and see which box goes across both.
So I can't have, oh, I see what you're saying. On the individual designs, I can't have the whole, oh, it can only be on one side of encroachment, not both.
Right.
I'll try that. Thanks.
Okay, thanks,
You know,
Mary.
Mary, you might start being the teacher instead of Judah if you don't behave.
No, I don't have Judith's patience.
Okay, well, that's pretty much the end of the actual quote lesson, but the project that they've included with it this time is to make what they call a tabletop display, and it's of the size for this large, I don't know that you can even see it, the metal frame that will hold a 12 by 12 banner or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so that's the size that it is intended to be. You could certainly, you wouldn't have to put it in one of those little frames. You could make a wall hanging out of it. You could make several of them and put them together. You could make a pillow out of it, whatever. All right. So let me clear the screen here and delete all. And there's some good information in this exercise that we have a tendency to take for granted. I have always just left my machines in metric setting rather than inches. Other people prefer to work in inches because it's when we grow up with inches, metrics settings seem to be rather foreign to us and unrelatable. But I guess because the hoop sizes are in metric, that I've learned to live as far as designs and stuff in a metric world. And when I was doing machine embroidery, it was in metrics also. So not machine embroidery, machine knitting. I kind of got used to metrics there too. But you do have the option of setting your machine so it tells you sizes in inches rather than metrics. And there's some instructions in the project about that. So on page 2, we are going to build a new design where at the bottom we're going to go back into our flowers and leaves selection. And we are going to go to design 16, which is this little guy right here, and it's the same on both icons. So if we pick that one and we tap it, it comes into the center of the design rather than wherever it was sitting on the screen. And on page 3, number 6, in edit or edit design, we want to go to our scale icon, and on the icon it looks like a double-headed arrow in a box. So we touch scale and we want to, as it says here, it reminds us here in the instruction that you can increase or decrease the size of a design 20%, but it doesn't change the stitch count. If we need to want to go bigger or smaller than 20%, we need to use the resize function. So in order to make it bigger, all we have to do is on the control wheel, scooch you down a little there, to touch the arrow pointing up until it quits. All right. And then we want to rotate it. So touch your rotate icon, the one that has the arrow in the circle. And if we touch the 0 above our control wheel, then we get our keypad and we want to rotate it 315 degrees and say, okay, so now that's made it at an angle for us. And we want to move it, so touch your move icon, the four arrows pointing to the center. And again, we've got 2 numbers above the control wheel now. The one on the left is for width and the one on the right is for height. So if we touch the one on the left and get our number pad, we want to set that to -53. The minus is going to put us in the left half of our hoop. So it's moved it over, and notice that the end of the design is still within that gray area or the crossover area, but we want it a little higher. So if we touch the right hand number, our vertical measurement or position, we're going to type in 53 without the minus because it's above the middle of the hoop. Then it moves it over to the upper left-hand corner. And again, in Edit now, we want to duplicate the design. So we're going to use our duplicate icon, which looks like a stack of papers on the first icon. And before you change the number, you need to write in on number 9 to touch the rotate icon. All right. Well, I didn't duplicate, did I? I just talked about it. Come on, duplicate. Did you do that? No. Huh.
Judy?
Oh, I'm hitting the wrong icon.
Okay.
Are you talking to me?
No, I was gonna say they changed where some of these symbols are, so she was hitting the wrong symbol.
I'm trying to do 2 things at once. Okay. So you're adding in on number 9, you're adding in touch the rotate icon. All right. And that's going to apply to the one that you just duplicated. Now you have 315 degrees above your control wheel. So we want to change that. We're going to get our number pad back and we're going to put in 225 and touch OK. Maybe. Is my finger gone to sleep or something today? There we go. All right. So now it's upside down. We're going to move it by touching the move icon and again using the 2 numbers above our control wheel. We're going to put in -53 for the side to side position. And for the vertical position, we're going to also type in -53. Okay, so now we have 2 of them flip-flopped on the left-hand side of our design. We're going to duplicate the design again. And why do I think that's duplicate, Mary?
And we're on number 11. We duplicate it. We want to touch the rotate and touch the center. We're not going to put a number in. We're just going to touch the center of the control wheel to turn it 180 degrees. Now, before you enter that 53 and 53 in your numbers above the control wheel, you need to touch the move icon. So right in that little blank line in there, touch the move icon so you can move it to where you want to be. And then you're going to change the two numbers above your control wheel to 53 and 53, which will put it in the upper right-hand corner. All right, now we're going to duplicate the design again. We're going to touch rotate, and we're going to touch the center of the control wheel once. And again, we're going to move it to 53 and minus 53. Okay, so now you have 4 of them equally spaced around in your hoop, and you've got this little tiny space in the middle. So in order to fill in that space, we're going to go get another design, and we're going to get that from our mini designs. And that is going to be design number 6, this little orange flower with its little spokes hanging out. And with the move icon highlighted, you're going to touch the center of the control wheel so it puts it in the center of the design. Now, we want to make it bigger, but this time we want to make it bigger than the 20%. So we are going to come down to our resize icon, which on the icon 1, it's 2 butterflies. And it is so helpful on the icon 2 to have the words. You don't have to memorize what the different icons mean. And it's going to take you into the resize screen. And again, you're going to touch your resize symbol, and you are going to, in your resize screen, you're going to touch that symbol, and you are going to just touch and hold the up arrow on your control wheel until you get it to the 26.6 and 27.4. Whoops, too big. So that has made that flower big enough to cover the ends of the stems on those 4 designs that we put in there. And that whole flower now is within that crossover area. So it will stitch out, it should stitch out last. It should stitch out with the left side. So let's check this out. And if I go to my layers, then my flower is the last thing that I put in, and it'll be the last thing that stitches out. So if I go to my stitch out thing, and my Turnable hoop options side sort is selected, I say okay. And let's see if I can. All right, it wants the hoop on. We can do, get my papers out of the way. Come on, honey. All right. And it is going to it's going to stitch out those two larger designs, and then should have me turn the hoop and stitch out the two over here, and then stitch out the little flower. And it was purposely made small enough that when it's stitched out, it would fit within that 12-inch size of that metal frame for a little tabletop or hanging. Any questions, comments about this?
Can I make an alternate suggestion?
Sure.
Since I've been just playing around with Shape Creator all week, if you brought in the first one, resized it, then went into Shape Creator and did a circle and just had 4 designs and then pulled it way in, you can do it pretty fast.
Okay, let's do that. You tell me what to do.
All right.
Okay. Let
Clear.
me, I think I'm going to go into layers and delete everything except the first one. Okay.
Okay. That's good.
And then I think I'll be at a, oh, in layers now, in the icon 2, they've split out group and ungroup, and then there's an options section where you don't have to go into edit. Like here, I can go in, I could duplicate, mirror, and I can delete those ones that I've selected. And now I only have that one left. I don't have to go down into my edit section, which is kind of cool. All right, Mary, sorry, little side.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So now go into Shape Creator.
Okay, I'm going into Shape Creator.
And go
All right.
Shapes and select your second circle.
All right, okay.
Close that. All right. Now you can go down to, what is it?
Edit, yeah.
Shape, and just add, get 4 of them.
Okay.
And then go to your little, change the size. It's right to the right of the move. No. There. All right. Drag it in.
Okay.
All right. Then say okay.
All right. Uh-huh.
And now go into edit and turn it so that there's 2 on one side and 2 on the other.
Okay, so I want to rotate 45.
Well, whatever. I'm not a numbers person.
45.
There you go. See?
Yeah, that's much faster and much easier.
Yeah.
Clever,
Yeah.
Mary. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, only because, I talked to you earlier that I've been doing Shape Creator for the last 2 days solid. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
That was a whole lot easier and a whole lot faster. And you had less opportunity to mess up.
Yeah, and you didn't have to do all those calculations.
Right.
Yeah, we've got some really powerful machines here.
Yes, we do. Did you other ladies think that was pretty clever?
I thought it was awesome. And I'm wondering, Mary, you should let them know so that they can, I mean, them being, whoever puts these lessons together. I guess it's probably good to know all the skills that you needed to do it the first way, right?
Yes,
when,
it is.
when
And
yeah,
sometimes that's the point of these lessons, is to show us, how to use the tools that are built into the machine. And then we have Mary who figures out how else to use
I think it's awesome,
tools.
Mary. Keep up the playing. So
Yeah,
you can share with us.
and sometimes it won't work for you, so you have to go through the whole process like this.
Yeah, if
And
it weren't, if you weren't making a design that was so symmetrical,
Right, exactly.
it would be different. But when you're doing something that's just, you're repeating the same design in a geometric pattern, it's perfect. It's great. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate the help.
Yeah,
What
no
else
problem.
are you doing with Shape Creator?
What did you say?
What else have you been doing in Shape Creator?
Well, I've been trying to make my own shape for an applique because the applique creator is great, but I was limited. I couldn't make the shape that I wanted, and I'm trying to do it all on the sewing machine rather than my software. So hopefully I'll have figured it out and can show you someday.
So that's interesting that you say that, because I found, and I don't even know their name, these two ladies on YouTube. I'll try to find their names. So they did that exact same thing. They wanted to make a turned applique and they had to make 260 of them or something. So they decided to do it in their big hoop. And what they did was she took a picture of it in her image creator, or the app in image creator on her phone, and she took a picture of it. And it knew the size it needed to be and everything. She took a picture of it and sent it to her machine, and it stitched it right out in image. So I wonder if you could do that if you had the shape of the applique that you wanted already, right? If you had a picture of it or something, you could do it that. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, it is. That's a great app that they have. Yeah. So
That's what?
that's a great app that they provide us.
Hey, Mary, I will text, if I can find that video. I don't have your number. I was going to say I'll text it to you. I'll text you the link.
Diane, you can text it to me because I'd be interested, and I'll send it on to Mary.
Okay. I'll try to find those two ladies again. I joined some Icon and Icon 2 group on Facebook, and that's where I found them. So
Okay.
I'll see if I can find it and send it to you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome. I thought it was, because I had done a turned applique design where I had to cut out, oh my God, 200, orange peel shapes.
Yeah.
And what she did is she went ahead and put her fabric face side down with the stabilizer, stitched all of them out, and then just cut them out. And they were already done. She slid them and turned them, and they were all done. And she did it in the hoop, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is.
And she used that image thing in the app. I think it's a separate app. It's a
Yeah.
separate, yeah.
Image
I thought it was
stitch.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's called Image Stitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, though. These machines, well, they're way above my brain power. That's for darn sure.
Well, there's so much to them, and they keep, they keep enhancing them and tempting us with all these things that they can do.
And we
So,
just need more time.
yeah. But that's what daylight savings time is for, is to give you more time.
I know we're going to get out on our bikes this afternoon since it's supposed to be nice. I told Mark, I'm like, I want to be on the class because I haven't been able to. Can we ride after? So,
Wow. I hope you have a good day.
yeah, it'll be a fun ride.
Anything else, ladies?
Thank you, Judy.
Doesn't have to do with these hoops or whatever?
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank
you know,
you, Mary, for your
yeah,
help.
that I always learn something in all of them.
My
I agree.
mind is, my head's spinning right now.
Well, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Put your, except Sandy, I'm sorry, put May 6th on your calendar as an in-store tech class to celebrate Elizabeth.
I don't have to bring anything down there because I don't want to.
I know you don't want to, that's why I told you it wasn't needed. Okay?
Take care of you.
I had to come into the other room where my sewing machine is, because my computer quit working in the other.
Oh, no.
So I was sitting here, you're doing this stuff and I can't do it because my machine's in the other room. No,
Oh,
I don't know.
well, then you'll have to go back to the video or just go through the instructions, except what Mary told us.
Yeah,
You'll have to check out the video for it.
I will. I get, yeah, because I got it all. I took some notes. Okay.
Okay. So thank you all so very much for being here. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. I enjoy doing this, and
This was good. Really
I
awesome.
hope it helps you. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.